Good evening, Wendy, please.
Good evening, everyone. I hereby announce that pursuant to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in the notice which was sent to the Asbury Park Press, the Two River Times, and posted on the bulletin board in Township Hall, and filed in the Township Clerk's office on January 5th, 2022. Members of the public are advised that this meeting is being live streamed and that the recordings of this meeting, including public comments that are made, will be posted on the internet and are subject to production under the Open Public Records Act. Mayor Bontempo?
Here.
Mr. Santana?
Here.
Mr. Impreviduto? Here. Mr. Lucarelli?
Here.
Ms. Weber?
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Wendy. Everyone, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence to honor our troops both home and abroad who work tirelessly to protect us each and every day. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Holmdel Township Committee meeting, March 8th, 2022. To start off this evening, I think we have a special presentation. Is that correct, Administrator?
That's
I'm talking to you. We're going with the presentation, right? They're first on our agenda? Are we using a overhead, or we just present? Okay, come on up.
You have to get closer to it.
No, it has to be turned on.
Is it on now?
Yeah.
Is that it? Oh, that's okay.
If you just state for the record, just your name, just so we have it for
Sure. My name's Dina Glenn, and this is Terry Burrows.
with the
Caregiver Volunteers of Central Jersey. So I'm going to read just because I don't want to forget anything. I know that you're on a time frame here.
Take your time.
Okay. So Terry and I are here from Caregiver Volunteers of Central Jersey, and Caregivers is a nonprofit organization dedicated to providing free supportive services to the frail, elderly, veterans, and to all people over the age of 60 who no longer drive. Our mission is to keep people connected in their community and provide service that enables them to remain living independently with dignity in their own home. We all have experienced firsthand the feeling of isolation and loneliness during the lockdown throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. But for most of us, there was a light at the end of the tunnel. Imagine having that experience every day for the rest of your life. That is what some elderly people and compromised people experience every day. We all have a story, and this is the story of our founder. In 1992, our founder, Barbara Devlin, and her husband, Jack, took a trip to West Virginia to visit Barbara's father. When they got there, they became concerned with Dad slowing down. Essential tasks had become difficult for Dad, such as driving, grocery shopping. Barbara became concerned about her father living at home alone. She worried about him being isolated from his community and not being able to do the things that he enjoyed. Barbara was afraid to leave her father, but she had to get back to her own family in New Jersey. In her desperate search for finding a solution, she reached out to her father's church and spoke to the pastor. He told her about a volunteer organization in their parish. He explained that there was a group of parishioners that volunteered their time and helped the elderly with transportation and grocery shopping. Upon returning home to Toms River, Barbara approached her pastor, Monsignor Casey, at St. Joseph's Church. She explained to him the volunteer services her father was receiving and how they were helping him stay safe living in his own home independently. She wanted to offer these free services to seniors living in Toms River. Monsignor Casey felt her passion, and he made her mission his own, and that's where Caregiver Volunteers was born. Today, we are a coalition of over 80 compassionate congregations and growing. We service both Monmouth and Ocean County. Because of all the wonderful volunteers we have at CVCJ, We continue to grow and meet the supportive needs of so many. We currently have over 1,200 volunteers, and we fill over 30 hours of free service, 30,000 exactly, 30,000 hours of service each year, which I just want to point out, it's over $1 million worth of free service that we provide to people in Monmouth and Ocean County. Without the kind and generous, compassionate volunteers, we would not be able to offer these life-enriching services. The services that we provide are door-to-door transportation to medical appointments, grocery shopping, friendly visits, phone call check-ins, pet therapy, veteran services, and respite care. The respite care, to me, it's fabulous. It gives the caregiver about 4 hours of free time a week so that they could recharge their battery and continue to take care of the person that they love. An initial intake is done for both the volunteer and the receiver. We match our teams up by interests, likes, and logistics. The amount of time that a volunteer gives to CVCJ is up to the individual. They can volunteer as little or as much as they'd like. 15 minutes a month can change the life of a lonely person in need. Our volunteers are often quoted as saying, they get more than they give. If you have any interest in volunteering, or if you know someone who could benefit from our services, please give us a call. We would love to speak to you. And thank you very much for giving us this time.
So how can we help you kind of promote your if volunteers in the community? Because we've done reaches out to the community during COVID. We had people volunteer at the hospital, nurses, caregivers, doctors, surgeons. It was remarkable how this community came out and responded to that, and I think your cause may interest a lot of people that may want to get involved.
Your community actually has been already very supportive. This is the first time that we've been invited to do something like this. You did put us in your newsletter, which was greatly appreciated. I think the most important thing for an organization like ours is word of mouth. So we all have that story, and that's why I do like to tell Barbara's story. I don't think there's anybody here that doesn't have a family member or knows somebody who has been exposed to someone who needs a little bit more help. So the more people that know about us and that can refer us so that we can go out and talk to people, it would be very helpful. And also too, from what I understand, you have a very active senior center. So I believe we are going to start doing some maybe educational presentations in your senior center, and hopefully fun stuff too. Yes, some fun stuff too.
That's good.
Yeah.
Could we add their information on the township website for seniors?
Absolutely.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. We'll coordinate through our recreation. Right, Bob Ward, who manages most of our senior activities, can certainly get in touch. Maybe put,
Yeah,
sync
if you can
them
give
up.
me some contact information,
Sure.
I'll pass it on.
I brought some brochures with us, so we can leave those as well.
That's great.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it. Next on the agenda is approval of minutes for January 25th, 2022, executive and public, February 8th, 2022, executive public, February 16th, 2022, executive and public. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Impreviduto?
Yes.
Mr. Lucarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Bontempo?
Yes.
Thank you. The minutes have been successfully approved.
Thank you. Next is any public.
Next on the agenda is the public comment. This is a public comment period that is limited to items that are on tonight's agenda, including the consent agenda and any introduction of ordinances. Public comments on ordinances for final adoption should be made during the designated public hearing period. In accordance with Resolution 2022-17, public commenters are asked to raise their hand and wait to be recognized by the mayor before coming forward and making public comments. Commenters are asked to state their full names and addresses before commenting. Public commenters are limited to one comment, not to exceed 3 minutes. Comments should be directed to the mayor and the township committee. If appropriate, the mayor may direct and recognize a staff employee or professional to respond to comments either at this meeting or in writing after this meeting.
Thank you, Wendy. So this is public comment on agenda items on tonight's agenda only. Miss, one.
Hello, Angela Curcio, 3 Williams Way. So my question is for agenda item 9, under the consent agenda. Under the bills payable, there was approximately $7,000 allocated to the vendor dementia center at Enclave. Can you just explain what that figure represents?
Tom? I have no idea. Bill, do you know? Give me 1 second to take a look at it.
It's on page 36, if that's helpful, of the
Page
bills payable.
36?
Yes, 36. Of the bills payable 6 through 37.
Yeah, I believe this is, I'm not locating it specifically, but I believe you're looking at escrows, and that's an escrow in which yeah, I see exactly, your dementia center at the bottom of page 36.
Yes,
That's
that
an,
one.
that's an escrow total, so that's a deposit that any applicant for a land use approval is required to make, and then any of the township's professionals that are doing reviews of that application are paid pursuant to that. So that is not a check that's being cut by the township to Enclave, rather that's money that Enclave has deposited with the township.
Okay, and the escrow is required for all applicants for zoning board?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're basically paying our professionals, the ones that we hire to do the work. When they submit an application, they review it to make sure it's accurate, consistently, and provide any feedback to whatever board is reviewing their application.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for items on tonight's agenda? Yes, in the back, come on.
Bill Castning, 4 Tocaloosa Drive. I'm commenting on the agenda item that resolution that would appoint Greg Buentempo as the liaison to the Environmental Commission, Homedale Environmental Commission. So I'm the chair of the Homedale Environmental Commission, and the commission has been wanting a liaison from the Township Committee for quite some time. Many other commissions and committees have a person from up here. So I requested of Greg that someone be appointed. We did not request who, and so just so you know, and I guess Greg stepped up with the rest of yours concurrence, so hopefully that resolution will pass this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. It seemed like a natural for me since I do the agricultural already with Allison, so I figured the extension would lend itself well to my involvement with you guys, so thank you. Anybody else from the public? Seeing none, I'll close public portion. Do I have a motion
I have a
for-
comment on a resolution, if you
Sure.
don't mind.
Sure.
So this is resolution number 93. In-person meetings? In-person meetings. So I'm fine with the resolution. I'm just worried about wording in the resolution, and I'd like to call the committee's attention to it. In the paragraph where it says, "Now therefore be it resolved that the Township Committee of Homedale hereby expresses its support and encourages each of the boards and the commissions of the Township of Homedale to resume in-person meetings." It's the word encourage that bothers me because this issue is a non-issue about in-person meetings, but if you're encouraging your point of view as a township committee on an independent board, as the zoning board or the planning board, then you're applying soft pressure, political pressure, number one. Number two, again, this issue is a non-issue. This particular resolution for in-person meeting is a non-issue, but the use of the word encourage is an issue. And that's because if we set a precedent by saying we encourage our point of view on independent boards and committees, later on, someone out there can come and request us to pass a similar resolution encouraging our point of view on the planning board or the zoning board for an application that they have. So I'm fine with the resolution, I'm just not fine with the word encourage.
Deputy Mayor, with all due respect, what's the political angle, I guess? To your point, you're worried about the politicization, right, of influence here. How is having an in-person meeting or encouraging an in-person meeting versus allowing the Zooms to continue, et cetera, a political sort of
No,
dynamic?
I'm not referring to this particular resolution. In-person meeting is fine, that's what we agreed, we said we support it. But I'm worried about us applying pressure, soft pressure, by encouraging independent boards to adopt our point of view. And this may be okay for this particular issue, but later on, someone could use this as a precedent and come and question us and say, how come you're not encouraging your point of view by passing a resolution like you did before for an application in front of the zoning board or the planning board? So on any other issue. So my worry is we're crossing that fine line of encouraging independent boards to adopt our point of view, and we should not cross that fine line. So if you strike out just that word, encourage, I'm fine with the resolution.
So I didn't prepare the resolution, the attorney did. I did suggest this. I did send an email to the mayor and to the attorney, obviously stressing my point of view and stated my reasons for doing that. If you want to change the word, I mean, I guess you could talk to the attorney. We can change the word. I don't know.
Yeah,
It seems like you were addressing it at me or over here.
No,
okay.
no,
But I
because
didn't
Rocco
prepare
asked
this.
the question, I
Okay,
was
so
trying to-
I mean, I don't know.
To Committeeman
Attorney?
Lucarelli's point, I wouldn't have drafted the resolution as it's drafted if I wasn't comfortable with it from a legal standpoint. If the committee wishes to amend the resolution, you're more than at your liberty to do so.
I
if
just
you
want to strike out the word encourage. That's it. Nothing more than that.
Does anyone want to make a motion to strike the word encourage, but keep the resolution as? No, you're just striking it. So
Procedural-
If you strike it, it doesn't make sense.
express its support in each of the boards.
Yeah, expresses support for each of the boards and
commissions to resume
in-person meetings.
Because it's an end, so you're removing and encourages.
And encourage. That way you're not crossing that fine line. You're stating your point of view, which is fine, but you're allowing them to not adopt our point of view or apply pressure in adopting our point of view.
So you would delete and encourages and substitute the word for.
Correct.
Procedurally, just to keep everything distinct, Deputy Mayor, are you requesting to pull Resolution 2022-93 for separate handling?
Yes, if that's okay with everybody.
So I would recommend, if you want to deal with that resolution separately now, or the rest of the consent agenda, and you can make an appropriate motion. I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm just trying to.
Well, I guess, Mike, the question is, as our attorney, you see no risk here, is what I'm trying to sort of box with the deputy mayor's comment.
I certainly understand the context of where the deputy mayor is coming from. I think there's a significant distinction between in-person meetings versus remote meetings and the merits of an application, which obviously we cannot comment upon. I think the deputy mayor's concern is that slippery slope, which may, that's subject to an individual's interpretation of things. Obviously, the resolution is drafted. I'm comfortable with the change. I'm certainly comfortable with if the committee wants to make that change. That's in your discretion.
How about we move on the consent agenda without that resolution at the moment and give everybody a minute to think about it?
So 2022-82 to 92. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Impreviduto?
Yes.
Mr. Lucarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes, with a note.
Mayor Bontempo?
Yes.
Okay, so 2022-82 to 2022-92 have been successfully passed.
Thank you, Wendy. Now, regarding 2022-93, there's a suggestion to make a motion to remove the words and encourage.
Encourage. Yeah.
And what about the title of the resolution that says, resolution encouraging in-person meetings?
I think the one comment I want to make, very simply, is I think that when possible, it's our obligation to meet in person to the town. And so that's why I'm not troubled by the word encourage. And I'm not trying to die on the vine on this here either, right? I'm really not. It's just, especially with some of the comments we've heard from residents who feel they're not being heard by some of these boards and committees. I feel obligated to do something, I guess is what I would say. And I feel as if the attorney doesn't think encourage is too strong a word or sets a bad precedent, that we can go forward as is. We've heard too many times about people, and it happened a lot last meeting, people saying they've been muted or kicked off calls, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that, I think we should encourage in-person meetings.
Yeah,
I guess that's where I'm landing here.
I agree with you 100%. I actually support this, right? And I said that too last meeting. The only problem I have is the boards, not even the committees, it's the boards. Simply because they're an independent body.
And I think we acknowledge that and we respect that they are an independent judicial body, that we are not, we have no authority to tell them what to do or to criticize.
It doesn't say that in the
Well, yeah,
resolution.
I think it's just our position.
That's fine.
As the TC, and that's all it is, and it's not in any way, shape, or form being politicized. I think we're just trying to have consistency throughout these public hearings throughout the town, and that was really the only reason for this.
And to
precaution.
ensure that they are following the law or statute that they operate under, that each board that makes any decision determination has an attorney there present, which is monitoring the proceedings and watching what's going on. So, is the word encouraging too strong? I see where the deputy mayor is coming from. You don't want to start a precedent of trying to dictate upon the boards of what they should and shouldn't do. They are independent and need to operate independently from the township committee. I'm up for any suggestions, because
Yeah, I just want to move on. I mean, I don't want to kill this thing here. I would just respectfully ask next time that, if you could just tell the attorney what word to use, and then we could have, just made this a lot easier.
I think it's important that it gets passed, and if getting it passed means we strike the words "and encourage," I can live with that. I think as long as the point's getting across here,
Right.
Yeah, it's
That-
more about the point than the word.
We all verbally encourage everybody to do it. It's just that it doesn't have to be in a resolution. That's all. Verbally, we all say, we all agree.
So is a motion to strike the word "and" encourages? Do we have that motion?
Yeah,
And
I'll make
add
a
the word
motion.
for. You have to add the word for. It doesn't-
Mike, can you strike, we can make a motion to
All
strike
right,
the
so
word,
I
but make it worded appropriately, that it's.
I got it. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, folks.
You need a roll call now, Wendy?
So it's a motion to adopt the resolution as amended. Do you have a motion and a second recorded, Wendy? I don't. Okay.
Do you have a second?
I can't second.
I said move, yeah.
second,
Roll call, please.
Mr. Impreviduto?
yes.
Mr. Lucarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Bontempo?
Yes.
Resolution 2022-93 has been successfully passed as amended.
Thank you, Wendy. Next is hearing on ordinances, Wendy, 2022-05.
Hearing on ordinance 2022-05, which is an ordinance of the Township of Homedale, Monmouth County, State of New Jersey, to exceed the 2022 municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, NJSA 40A semicolon 4-45.14.
Any comment from the Township Committee? We'll go to public hearing. Public hearing on ordinances 2022-05. Seeing none in the public, I'll close public portion. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Impreviduto?
Yes.
Mr. Lucarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Bontempo?
Yes.
2022-05 has been successfully adopted and will be published in the Asbury Park Press according to law. The next ordinance for hearing is 2022-06, which is an ordinance amending section 13-2.3 titled Outdoor Facilities.
Public hearing on 2022-06 outdoor public facilities. Anybody from the public? Seeing none, I'll close public portion. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Impreviduto?
Yes.
Mr. Lucarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Bontempo?
Yes.
Okay. 2022-06 has been successfully passed on final reading and will be published in the Asbury Park Press according to law. The next ordinance is 2022-07, which is a bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $5,521,600 for the various capital improvements in and by the Township of Holmdel in the County of Monmouth, New Jersey, and authorizing the issuance of $5,245,520,000 bonds or notes of the Township for financing part of the appropriation.
Any public comment on this ordinance? Seeing none, I'll close public portion. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Impreviduto?
Yes.
Mr. Lucarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Bontempo?
Yes.
So 2022-07 has been successfully adopted on final reading and will be published in the Asbury Park Press according to law. The next ordinance is 2022-08, which is a bond ordinance authorizing various sewer utility improvements in and for the Township of Holmdel in the County of Monmouth, New Jersey, appropriating $2,686,740,000, therefore, and authorizing an issuance of $2,186,740,000 bonds or notes to finance the cost thereof.
Any comments from the public on 2022-09? Yes, come on up.
I'm sorry, I don't have the room enough of the sheet, so I'm just curious as to.
You're gonna have to, just come up and state your,
Hi, Janelle Michella,
just say your address, please. Address.
2 Oak Tree Lane.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What are we improving? You don't have enough of your papers for all the people that attended tonight, so I have no idea what you're improving, what you're spending almost $3 million or $5 million on. So if you don't mind just giving us a really quick, vague, so that we have an idea of what all that money's going to, I'd love that, because I have no documents. I have all the papers that are left.
It's online too, so you can probably
Certainly,
pull it
yeah,
up on your phone.
the full agenda is on the website if you want to look on your phone, just to
I'm here
answer.
now.
Understood, I'm going to answer your question.
Thank
So, this bond ordinance is for improvements to the sewer utility system within the township, including but not limited to Mount Drive force main renovations, pump station renovations, and Phase 1 system renovations, all pursuant to the bond ordinance comes out to total appropriation of $2.686 million.
So it's mostly for like sewage treatment and upgrades and
The
everything?
sewer
Oh,
utility
okay.
system, yes.
Oh, okay. I just had no idea, so
Understood.
you.
And,
Thank
and
you.
Mike, just so I have it right, the sewer utility pays it back out of their budget. So this is not, the township actually doesn't pay, although we're bonding it,
Yeah.
it doesn't come out of the township budget to repay that bond. It comes out of the sewer utility. It's a
I'll-
self-funded
I'll
entity,
do-
is that
Not
correct?
all
I'll
residents.
defer to Bill on the mechanics, but I do want to clarify that I believe we're bonding against general obligations, but
Yeah, and
the
it is sewer debt
utility.
comes out of the sewer utility
Yeah.
user fees. And the same thing with the swim club debt, that'll come out of the swim club membership fees.
Yeah. So not all residents will be paying for this.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. I
you.
appreciate the explanation.
Anybody else on this ordinance? Seeing none, close.
Mayor, I have a comment.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I just have one question. Maybe it's for Bill or for Tom. I know that we're using some of the funds from our, what was it, the CARES Act?
The ARPA money?
ARCA money, right. So the initial 500,000, was that just to get things started, Bill? And then are we going to look into seeing if we can use more of that for this?
We still have time to determine what we're going to do. We're using a portion of it to study some of the flood issues. That was, yeah. And this is the second portion we're using. We still have yet to determine what we're going to do with the rest of it.
Okay, thank you.
You have a motion.
Move.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Impreviduto?
Yes.
Mr. Lucarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Bontempo?
Yes.
Ordinance 2022-08 has been successfully adopted on final reading and will be published in the Asbury Park Press according to law. The next ordinance is 2022-09, which is a bond ordinance authorizing various swimming pool utility improvements in and for the Township of Homedale in the County of Monmouth, New Jersey, appropriating $445,800,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $423,510,000 bonds or notes to finance the cost thereof.
Any comments from the public on 2022-09? Seeing none, I'll close public portion. I have a motion.
Move.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Impreviduto?
Yes.
Mr. Lucarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Bontempo?
Yes.
2022-09 has been successfully passed on the final reading and will be published in the Asbury Park Press according to law.
Thank you, Wendy. We'll go to department updates. Administrator, any updates from you?
I have none for this meeting, but I will have more in the future.
Thank you. CFO, Bill, anything from you?
Just a reminder, next meeting is our public hearing of the budget. We did make the presentation at the last meeting, and we take public comments next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Council, any updates from you?
No updates, Mayor. Happy to answer any questions.
Engineer, I know you have an update for us.
I do. Thank you, Mayor.
So let me prelude this. So the engineer is going to talk about, if you guys were aware, and the people in the public, the bridge was struck by a truck last Friday morning. We asked the engineer to provide an update on what the status is. So those interested, Ben's going to cover that right now. Go ahead, Ben.
Thank you. On Friday, March 4th, 2022, a truck struck the bottom of the New Jersey Transit Bridge over County Route 52, also known as Laurel Avenue. The accident resulted in lane closures and impacts to the New Jersey Transit train schedule and operations. The low height of this bridge...
Ben, can you come a little close? Can you guys hear in the back? Can you hear him? Okay. A little louder?
My apologies.
Sorry.
The low height of this bridge has
Better.
been a long-standing issue that the Monmouth County is aware of. The county is currently working on a concept development study for improvements to the overpass. While that concept development and designs are being considered, the county is in the process of implementing interim upgrades to the advanced warning signage on Laurel Avenue. Plans have been prepared to enhance low bridge signage as well as overhead flashing beacons to provide additional information for drivers on both approaches. Monmouth County has indicated that construction is scheduled to begin in the next 2 to 4 weeks on the signage upgrades. The upgrades are intended to replace the portable variable message signs which were installed in July of 2018. New Jersey Transit is currently working on designing repairs to their bridge. One track is currently still in use while repairs are being evaluated and a plan is made. New Jersey Transit has not released a schedule for repairs to the bridge at this time. Our office will continue to monitor the situation and advise the township of any updates or any necessary actions to be taken by the township. To add to that, I had a conversation with the county engineer this morning to get this information, and they are working on it, and they're well aware of everything that's going on.
Thank you, Ben. The challenge is as what took place on Friday, when the bridge was struck by a large cement truck, it shut down the road, it shut down the railway, it diverted school buses all day, created traffic nightmares for our police and fire and first aid, etc. So this has been an ongoing problem. Ben is tasked with working with the county as expeditiously as possible to try to get this resolved. We need to do something because we need to prevent vehicles before they get to the bridge from stopping and somehow stopping and preventing them from ever striking the bridge. And felt it was important to provide the update, and we'll continue to communicate in the newsletter as we get updates from the engineer on what's going on and how the engineers, with our engineers working with the county to get this issue resolved. I will now roll to boards and committees. Start to my far left. Committeeman Improvisato, any updates?
Sure. On the community development side, the department has a bunch of new staff members. Tara Buss is our new office manager, whose role will be to ensure a seamless transition of processes throughout the department. Michael Winch has moved from part-time inspector to the full-time plumbing subcode official. Ryan Chesick joined the team as the new full-time electrical subcode official, and Bert Rodriguez was hired as one of the department new fire inspectors. And just as a reminder, as we do just about every time, you can go to the community development website to pay for permits, file applications, look up and immediately access a wide variety of public documents, just to be more efficient and save yourselves the trip to town hall.
I think what the committeeman said is very important. They have put a lot online. I think that should be probably including the upcoming newsletter about be able to get access to documents 24/7 by going to the website. Maybe save some time from putting in more open requests to our clerk to get information out to our residents in a quicker, more timelier fashion. I think Steve and his team are doing a great job over there.
Yeah, I had the privilege of meeting with them for a bit, and we've had some good discussions since. I think they've really got it together.
Yeah, I agree with you. Thank you for the update. Committeeman Lucarelli, any updates?
Thank you, Mayor. With Public Works and the recycling department, we have a few updates. In preparation for the arrival of spring, the Department of Public Works has been servicing and preparing all of their equipment to start maintaining all of our athletic fields. We are doing basin repairs as part of the 2022 the road program, and their crews out there addressing those issues. And in addition, with the potholes in town, I know as the winter hits us, there may be some issues. If anyone has or sees any potholes, please feel free to email our administrator so he can facilitate that. But they are out there, I was told by Victor, 3 days a week doing constant repairs on that. And in regards to recycling, the spring leaf and brush pickup schedules will begin the week of April 4th. If you want to check, you can check online or your recycling pamphlets for your section specific week. The metal recycling can be dropped off at the DPW right here on Crawford's Corner Road on March 18th. And then our first large item drop-off of the 2022 will be held on Saturday, April 9th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., and that's going to be at the Bell Works parking lot. Thank you.
Yeah. Bell Works has been very gracious, allowing us to use their facility. For those that went to our large item drop-off at Town Hall, things it was a little challenging, but Bell Works seems to be working a lot better, and we get multiple lines in at the same time, so it really speeds things up. And usually the first one of the season is the most attended one, so I know people are starting to put their stuff together already, but thank you for the update. Committeeman Weber, any updates?
Yes, please. I have some from the Recreation Department and Recreation Committee. The Recreation Department has been transitioning to a new software system for registration and billing called Rec Desk. So if you had a prior account, you need to set up a new one. It does not roll over the old information, but it's easy to do. And then you can begin registering for all the great programs that we have coming up. First is Spring Fling registration for the Daughters Dance, which is Saturday, March 19th, and the Sun Dance, which is Sunday, March 20th. At Jock's Reception Center. There's already 193 people registered for the Daughter Dance and 165 for the Sun Dance. So please register as soon as possible. I know these events have sold out in the past. The mayor will probably be sharing more about this Community Cleanup Day, so I'll skip that. We're going to have the Hippity Hop Egg Hunt again on Saturday, April 9th at Cross Farm Park, and there'll be pre-registration for that, which will open soon. And then my favorite, the swim club registration will open soon. We're looking at getting a few more things done into the registration system to accommodate the swim club registration, but that should happen shortly. So stay tuned to our website and our social media pages when they will announce the registration is open. That's it.
Thank you. I know a lot of people are looking forward to the Easter Bunny Hippity Hop event. It was well attended last year. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Deputy Mayor, any updates?
Yep. Thank you, Mayor. I have some public safety updates. So the storm hit us pretty hard last night. In fact, I recommend seeing Committeeman Improvisado's video on what happened to a transformer near his house.
So the Everett Road between McCampbell and Route 520 remains closed. Power was out on Winthrop, DeMassa, and Van Schoik because of down trees. JCP&L was supposed to bring power back by 7 p.m. tonight. So if you haven't received power, please let us know. So the police department is testing a new e-ticket software. So when it's fully implemented, officers will be able to fill out summonses on their in-car computer. So this, which means the violator would receive a receipt that is printed right from the patrol car, and the ticket information goes directly to the court system. This saves time for the police department because they now don't have to go to court and file in all the information. The police department attended a job fair this afternoon at Brookdale Community College, sponsored by the Monmouth County Police Chiefs Association. There were numerous police departments throughout Monmouth County in attendance, and information about each participating police department along with their application procedures will be publicly disseminated soon. That's pretty much it.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. We have a couple things going on. So first we have the volunteers are needed again. We're doing our annual Mayor's Community Cleanup Day on Saturday, March 26th from 9 a.m. till 12 noon. We're going to meet and register at the community center, which is right next to Town Hall. We are right now. When you register, you're going to get T-shirts, gloves. We encourage people, school groups, people that need community service hours, community organizations to get involved. For the first time this year, we're actually reaching out to businesses. I think we reached out to, I think we hit 150 in Bellworks alone, plus probably another 400 throughout the town, because I know a lot of businesses have community involvement programs or community hours that they like to get involved. So we're encouraging businesses to get involved this year. We're going to be dispatched around the town, various locations. We're hitting some public areas, some of the areas where we are accumulating more litter than others, maybe hitting some of the areas we hit last year. I know probably hit 3 areas last year, if I'm not mistaken, and pulled up everything from bottles to laptops, if you can believe it, on the side of the road. So it was interesting, and it was a fun day. I got a lot of work, and with our DPW and the crew from the Public Works does a great job helping out and making sure that all the bags are collected. We have usually a great turnout from the Scouts as well, which are always great to have their participation, all the great things that they do in our community. So if you want more information for yourself, or you want to register your business to get involved, you could email Bob Ward at rward@homedaletownship.com or contact anybody in the rec department, and they'll provide you with information on the date. So it's coming up quick, March 26th at 9 a.m. and it's a short day. By noon, we're wrapped up. Second thing, it's very important that myself and the Township Committee are rolling out effective immediately is Ukrainian aid drive that we're doing here at Homedale Town Hall. I want to talk a brief moment about the ongoing humanitarian refugee crisis that's going on right now in Ukraine. The United Nations has called for safe passage for conflict zones, as reports indicate more than 1,000 civilians have been injured or killed already. Close to 2 million people have crossed into neighboring countries in just a short 2-week period, and the World Health Organization has outlined concerns about conflict-related injuries. In Homedale, as seen in the past, most recently with COVID, our residents have stepped up in a big way in helping support other people who may be sick or injured. That's why the entire Township Committee and myself are announcing a medical drive to help support the people of Ukraine. From tomorrow, March 8th, through Wednesday the 22nd, it's a very short cycle. We have 2 weeks to accumulate any donations we receive. We're going to be collecting basic medical supplies here in Town Hall. Residents interested in donating can bring supplies to the bin in Town Hall labeled Medical Supply Drive. Supplies needed include over-the-counter pain relievers such as Tylenol and ibuprofen, saline eye wash, Band-Aids, gauze, medical tape, medical gloves, antibiotic creams, and ACE bandages. There's a full list of supplies needed on our website at homedaletownship.com/Ukraine for those interested. It's very important that we only bring items on the list. They are very specific in what they need for this purpose in this drive, and they need them sooner than later. That's why we're making this drive a very limited time for only 2 weeks, and then we are going to DPW is going to box everything up. We're going to bring it to a Ukrainian shipping company. It's going to hand off to what would be the equivalent of the Red Cross over in Ukraine, so they could disseminate the supplies where they're needed to help the people that are over there in need right now. Information will be posted on our social media, posted on our website, but we want to make the announcement today. And I know some of my committee members also want to make a statement regarding what is going on this evening. I'll start to my far left, Committeeman Impreviduto.
No, just very simply, as many others, we certainly stand with the people of Ukraine and the crisis they're in the midst of. I am pleased that the town is taking a proactive step in trying to provide aid, and we're not just, offering solidarity, if you will. We're trying to help in any way that we can. So certainly encourage anybody that's interested in donating and doing what they can to help in this effort.
Thank you.
Yeah, again, basically exactly what Committeeman Impreviduto just said. We do stand in solidarity with Ukraine, and we're trying to make our efforts, and we encourage the residents of the town to do the same, to do whatever we can to help in this humanitarian crisis. Thank you.
My heart goes out to the people of Ukraine, and my words are going out to the people of Homedale. I know this community can come through and step up, and I would just ask that remind everyone that the donations you bring do need to be new items in boxes and non-expired in order for them to be accepted, and because it's a major endeavor to ship them over, that would really, really help in the process. So thank you, Homedale, for all your help.
I too stand with the people of Ukraine and residents of Homedale of Ukrainian descent. I'm sure they have their loved ones still back home. And I'm happy that we are doing this fundraising effort, and support this initiative as well. To do our little part, however little it is, we should do our part, and encourage residents of Homedale to come out and support this initiative as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So if anybody could share information for friends, family members that maybe are not here, that can let them know what we're doing and point them to the direction of our website, it would be greatly appreciated. It's important to get the word out quickly because, again, it's a very limited time frame to get the supplies over there as quickly as possible to help the people that are there in need. That's all my updates. I will now roll to public comment.
In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, this is a public comment period for public comment on any governmental issue of public concern. In accordance with Resolution 2022-17, public commenters are asked to raise their hand and wait to be recognized by the mayor before coming forward and making public comments. Commenters are asked to state their full name and address before commenting. Public commenters are limited to one comment, not to exceed 3 minutes. Comments should be directed to the mayor and township committee. If appropriate, the mayor may direct it and recognize a staff employee or professional to respond to comments either at this meeting or in writing after this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Any for public comment, please raise your hand. Yes, miss, in the front.
Jane Zisk, 6 Lucarelli Drive. Thank you for the resolution supporting, not encouraging, your committees and boards to meet in public. As one who is muted, I completely appreciate it. And as you know, I sent a letter as a follow-up to my comments at the last town committee meeting. For the benefit of the public, I'd like to read that letter. I am following up to understand what due diligence the Township Committee has exercised regarding the concerns I raised at the February 22nd Township Committee meeting about Zoning Board Chair Ralph Blumenthal's conflict of interest impacting his impartiality in the UMC's use variance application, especially in light of Mr. Blumenthal's conduct during the March 2nd Zoning Board meeting. During the March 2nd meeting, Zoning Board Attorney Mr. Martin Flager read into the record my February 15th letter to the Zoning Board. Mr. Blumenthal then characterized my statement as a personal attack and went on to state that, quote, a number of, end quote, my statements were false, saying, quote, there's no truth to them, unquote. I requested an opportunity to respond that evening but was denied. This was represented as an end to consideration and discussion of the matter. It is inherently inappropriate for the individual whose impartiality is being called into question to self-assess and then make a determination as to the allegations. But this is exactly what happened on March 2nd. As the governing body that appointed Mr. Blumenthal, surely the Township Committee would be the more appropriate body to address the concerns raised. Moreover, no Homedale citizen raising a concern in good faith for the sake of our community should be treated as I was on March 2nd. I realize the sensitivity of this issue, but I expected greater professionalism from individuals representing our local government. An update at your earliest convenience would be greatly appreciated. Thank you in advance for your consideration of the above matter, respectfully submitted. And thank you, Committeeman Lucarelli, for responding to my email saying that you're going to follow up on the issue. My question is, what exactly is going to be done? What are the plans, and what's the status of the follow-up?
Is that all your comments?
That's my question.
Okay,
right.
thank you. You can have a seat.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Through the mayor, as I've mentioned at past meetings, the Township Committee is not in a position to provide comment with respect to the proceedings that are occurring over at the Zoning Board. It's a quasi-judicial body, and we need to respect their process. With respect to the allegations made by the speaker, any issue of an alleged conflict needs to be resolved by that board specifically, and ultimately, if it ends up in the courts, by the courts. The Township Committee does not have a role in assessing a conflict of interest. That's a legal question that, again, would be decided by that board and by the courts. I can't speak, ma'am, to any alleged mistreatment you've experienced at the board, but I appreciate your comment. I'm not aware of, I wasn't privy to those proceedings as it's a separate board, but I appreciate your comment.
Thank you. Anybody else in the public? Miss you.
Thank you. Leslie Zimmerman, 3 Twin Brooks Court, Homedale. I'm not sure you're going to be able to answer any of my questions, but I am here to give it a try. And thank you for having this meeting in person. It does mean a lot to us. And it's the best way to have a meeting. We all agree.
Just try to speak in the microphone so they can hear you in the back as well. Yeah.
I will, thank you. Yeah. I have a lot of comments, and I'm trying to synthesize them as we go. So the zoning board application process for Potter's Farm and UMC appears to be questionable, maybe even suspicious. No developer would purchase land that requires a use variance without contingencies. And why would the applicant UMC do that? Do they have assurances from our zoning board that the variance would be granted? Did any meetings take place before the property was purchased by the developer? And who was in attendance at any of these meetings? As taxpayers, we have the right to know what is going on when we are discussing such important matters as the gateway into Homedale and Middletown. Transparency is very important. During the long, dark days of COVID, while we were all trying to stay safe at home, it appears as though there was some behind-the-scenes planning that was happening, and that does not seem fair or proper. We just want to understand what was going on here in our town that we all love and call home. So thank you. I know.
Thank you. Anything? Okay. Anybody else in public? Sir?
Good evening. Steve Draymond, 26 Hawthorne Avenue. In my short tenure as a Homedale resident, I have watched an amazing amount of attention given by the town council to the township's emergency services, right? The flourishing of the fire department given to us by the town council via the new firehouse, new apparatus, availability and opportunity for further training, and the availability to grow. It's fantastic. In multiple meetings, it has always been brought up to one of the town's next biggest pieces of the puzzle to make sure that the emergency services flourish properly, and that is membership. It has been brought up multiple times about a incentive program to encourage first responders to come out more often, as well as to grow the amount of first responders that come out. I would like to know what the township council's position is on that, and where do you intend to go, if you intend to go with it.
You have anything else? Any other questions?
Yeah, I like Zoom meetings that you guys can do here.
Okay.
So I would appreciate it if we could bring back the Zoom option so I don't have to get a babysitter to come to the town council meeting.
So you
to
like the
speak.
Zoom meetings?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Save me a couple of bucks. Mayor Bontempo. Thank
Anything
you.
else?
That's it.
Okay, thank you.
We can't encourage having Zoom meetings.
I like Zoom meetings.
As you know, if you follow the meetings, I'm a very big advocate of emergency services. I've been. I work with leadership, fire, first aid, OEM for quite some time, and we try to put incentives in place to encourage them, to help them. We meet regularly, and we're always looking for new ideas. I know that we provided Kathy, you could probably jump in, the swim club, discount for them so them and their families can use it. And we're always looking to do more. You can certainly email me offline. You don't have to come here. You literally don't have to come here. You can email me, and I'll respond to you. And I'll provide any feedback when I have my meetings with the emergency services team to see what else we could do. The feedback I get is they're generally happy with what we're doing, because I ask, are we doing enough? And the most part, the leadership tells me they're happy with what we're doing. They know we spent an enormous amount of money investing in them so they have the tools needed to take care of our residents. I'll repeat that. They have the tools needed to take care of my residents. So that's the biggest thing I have. And membership drive is huge. We've been working on that for a while, and always looking for a way to drive more participation, more involvement. I think the leadership there under Chief Hernando in Fire has done a great job. I think Trishetta in First Aid has done an amazing job with both Fire and First Aid. So feel free to email me anytime. Feel free to come up after the meeting and chat. We'd love to get any additional ideas you have as well, because always looking to do things that are worthwhile and that people value at the same time that they're gonna utilize and leverage for the masses. But thank you for your comment.
Mayor, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So you may know this, we put a referendum on the ballot for the LoSAP award for provide incentives for the volunteers. So that passed. So that's in addition to all the other stuff that we're doing. So we're pretty much maxed out in terms of supporting emergency services and fire. We've done a lot in the last 3 years. So you're welcome.
Mayor, this is a little bit tangential, but I believe some towns actually incent the public works employees to sort of cross over and contribute an emergency services, and I wasn't sure if that was something that we've considered, and if so, what that looks like.
We have. We could probably talk offline about that. This administrator is not updated, but Sharon was updated on that, and we'll provide you. I'm sure she has some notes on that time we can pull out on the meetings we had and work we did on chatting with that. We did search that. We had meetings with DPW, with Victor, and it didn't work. And between Victor and notes you could pull up from Sean, we can explain why it wasn't going to meet wasn't going to fulfill the needs we had.
And do we, just to the resident's point or to his question, are we at a deficit at any point in time? You said we have coverage. Is there a certain level we should be seeking to achieve beyond where we are? Like, I always look at it as if we're going to try to increase something, what's the goal to hit, right? And so I guess that's my only follow-up to the question.
So the last emergency services meeting we had with Chief Matiszewski a month ago, fire was sufficient in all areas.
Yep.
So it was good news.
There
Sir-
are a lot
sir in the
more
back.
volunteers, and many of them from Homedale for the first time.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Tom Santora, 8 Willow Road. Just want to address the Charter Commission. I know it's a hot button topic, and just want to get clarification on a couple of points. I guess my first question is whose idea was the Charter Commission? And I was on the Zoom call a couple of weeks ago, and Mayor Bontempo, I agree with everything you said about local government. Right up until the point where you said you were going to agree with whatever they recommended before they even recommended it. So,
Just speak. You're breaking up a little.
yeah, I just wanted to get clarification on. You said you were going to agree with anything that they recommended. I just want to clarify that they haven't made any recommendations yet. So how can you agree with anything they haven't recommended? And just want to make sure that the public's voice is heard, so that I can, you can maybe. In good faith, make sure that this is on the November ballot instead of the June ballot, just so everybody has a chance to digest what they recommend and the voices of the people are heard. So,
Thank you.
Statement.
Through the mayor, with respect to the Charter Commission, just one thing that there were, I think, a few emails, and I was kind of asked to provide. The one thing, just to clarify, but we're more than welcome to hear your comments on the Charter Commission. The one thing I do want to clarify, because there's been some questions, the Township Committee doesn't have any further role in the Charter Study Commission process. The Township Committee did the ordinance last year to put it on the ballot, and it was approved by voters, and that was self-executing. So the commission was formed, they have their powers, and if they choose to make a recommendation, that'll get placed on a future ballot, and the voters would ultimately make that determination. Some people have asked whether it comes back to the Township Committee after the Charter Commission. That's not the case. So the committee is out of that process. It's between the Charter Commission and the voters.
Yeah, and I think that my comment about agreeing with is that it doesn't come back to what the attorney said. It doesn't come back to the Township Committee. So whatever they put forth is what the voters will ultimately decide on. So I don't have a say any more than I was asked to come and speak and answer some questions, and I did that and said whatever you guys agree with is what we're going to have to move forward with, because there's no more input from this Township Committee on anything that they are doing regarding their three-step process in analyzing the different forms of government. Anybody else in public?
Did you want to? You did have another question.
I prefer not. So I'm going to answer your question. Please don't speak to it. So we do not have any more control since it was voted upon by the residents and it was approved. So they are in control. I would expect it in the fall. I would expect in the fall. That's my understanding. Anybody else in public? Yes, miss?
Hi, I'm Danielle Curcio from 3 Williams Way. I'm here tonight again to, about my concerns as a Homedale resident. I want you guys to shed some light on the zoning board application process with the UMC project. Now, let me preface this. I'm not asking about what the zoning board is voting upon. This is questions that your involvement in it, okay? I want to just, okay. In August of 2021, Homedale Township Committee was looking to vote yes for a $95,000 pilot funds from the applicant UMC before the use variance application was even filed. I am seeking answers to the following questions. Who was involved in this pilot money discussions? Who attended these meetings? Where and when did these meetings take place? How was the number 95,000 arrived upon, especially being how this is a not-for-profit facility that's going up and it stands to make $15 million a year. How does this seem fair to the residents who will now share the resources and subsidize these facilities with our tax dollars? Why not consider its current zoning that would generate more money?
Is that all your comments?
Yes.
All right, you can have your seat. Thank you. You want to touch on it?
Sure. Again, I'm limited in what I could detail. With respect to the Township Committee item that was placed on an agenda, the record's clear that there were discussions between the Township and the applicant with respect to the terms that were ultimately in the pilot that was not passed. And without getting into the details, it was listed on multiple executive session agendas, so the Township Committee would have had any discussions about that matter in executive session with all of its members present.
Thank you, Mike. That's it. Thank you. No, you're done. They missed. You're done. You have one chance. Yes, Miss. Come on, get your hand.
So I believe you had just said.
You state your,
oh, yes,
state your
Angela
name.
Curcio, 3 Williams Way.
Yep.
So you had just said that it was on the consent agenda, what she was just referring to. You said that it was at the hearings. Am I? What was your response, Mr. Collins?
Answer all your questions, and then we'll.
Well, my question is a follow-up. So if he was saying that this was presented to the public, I believe the question was why was it done before the variance application? That was the question. So even if it was presented to the public, why was it before the variance application?
Okay, answer all your questions.
That is my question.
You have any more?
No, that's
okay.
fine.
You can sit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Through the mayor, I was just asked to.
Okay.
Through the mayor, I was asked to clarify in terms of the use of the term pilot. That's really kind of a colloquial term, as was detailed on the past proposal. It was a payment that was proposed in lieu of not having to pay any taxes, not a pilot under the long-term tax exemption law. With respect to I'm using the pilot again, the as a colloquial term, but in terms of that.
Voluntary payment.
Right. It was a voluntary payment that was proposed and ultimately obviously not accepted by the Township Committee. I can't speak to the details of those. It's obviously something that was negotiated and would still be a potential future negotiation, or it may not be.
Thank you. Anybody else in the public? Sir?
Good evening, Wes Fagan, 50 Chestnut Ridge Road. I'd like to share my experience at the last charter study Zoom meeting. As background, my only knowledge of Chairman G is from his involvement in RAGE. I assumed he was simply a concerned citizen like many of the folks in this room. Boy, was I wrong. In an effort to understand more about this commission, I visited HomedaleCharter.com. On this same website, it requested donations be sent to P.O. Box 761 under the name Homedale First Charter Study Committee. I asked 3 questions. Mr. Attorney, is this legal? Mr. G, is this moral? And commissioners, does this just not matter? Number 2, is this donor list available to the public? Number 3, as all of their expenses are paid by the taxpayer, what is the money being used for? Following these questions, I was kicked out of the meeting. I had to go back on the weekend to hear the answers. Oh, by the way, by Sunday, the donation link was gone, scrubbed. The attorney had no answer. Mr. G said that I was confused about a lot of things. The timekeeping commissioner said it didn't matter because they were not taking a salary at this time. Another commissioner assured us that they have not done anything bad, sinister, nor deceitful, and have yet to do, quote, a damn thing wrong. He further advised that the town needs to, quote, align with more modern standards. When reference was made to how the commission was formed and the 5 were anointed, we were advised that the residents were, quote, asleep at the switch during those midsummer Zoom meetings. Later, Mr. G announced that he is not required to allow public comment, and we should in essence be thankful it was allowed in phases 1 and 2. I wonder if that was a setup to restrict us further in Phase 3, which sounds like they're looking to go dark very soon. I hope they remember to invite the attorney. Finally, it was revealed that the puppet master, party boss, and boogeyman is actually Sean Golden. After I caught my breath, I asked myself, where have I seen that name before? Going back to HomedaleCharter.com, the very first thing that comes up is a letter dated February 1st from Sheriff Golden, which states in part, "You can count on me for support." On February 14th, the commissioner's reply was, "Thank you for your support." So what gives? It took 9 members to form a commission to pave over the blue line out front, but only 5 to, number 1, divide the people, dismantle the norms of party affiliation, and 3, erase 100 years of our history. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the public? In the back.
Ralph Purcell, 18 Red Coach Lane, Homedale, New Jersey. My question is to the mayor, Your Honor. Did you do enough to communicate to the township residents by informing them thoroughly about the charter study prior to it being put on the ballot, by explaining petition to the process to become a commissioner in a timely manner with the communications channels available to you and the township? And if you did inform the residents properly, why did 5 politically connected people run unopposed, and is that morally or ethical?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the public? Yes, miss, in the back.
Hello, hi. Janelle Michella, 203 Lane. Okay, I think it should be pointed out that, Mr. Mayor, you support the Charter Study Commission that ultimately would change what has worked for our town, or would look to change what has worked for our town for the last 100 years. But also work to change the things that you've worked on for the last decade. So my confusion, I guess we can quote it as, would be you're supporting things suggesting that you are not effective, in which case we need a charter study commission. I don't really understand that. Is this a, I don't know, a self-reflective type of thing? I don't really understand the need for a charter study commission. I don't feel it was communicated as Mr. Purcell pointed out. It was not communicated, and also I'm still learning all about it since it's something that has been done kind of in the dark of the night and sprung up on the Homedale residents. I'm trying to figure out how we escaped this whole like 3,600 votes that or signed petitions, something of that nature. I'm still following up on all of this according to the Faulkner Act. So as I'm trying to educate myself on this, and I'm seeing all the loopholes that somehow were created, I'm trying to figure out who exactly is behind the loopholes. What exactly is the game plan here? How did you all pass this? And as someone who has been our mayor, and I have been a resident for over 30 years, I'd like to understand, and I'd like an answer actually, why is it that you feel that you supported this Charter Study Commission? Are you insecure in your own decisions for the last decade? I'm asking.
Are you done?
I am, and
Okay.
I won't be dismissed in a disturbing way either, so I'd like an answer, please.
You can have a seat, thank you.
I will have a seat, but I'd like an answer also.
You'll get one.
Now? That's a yes or a no.
You can have a seat, thank you.
I will have a seat, but I would also like an answer first.
This is not a question and answer, this is public comment section.
Well, it is a public comment section, but I also noticed that it's kind of hard not to, that we kind of have a back and forth when you feel it's appropriate and you have an answer that you like to put on public record. So I would like to publicly put on record that I would like an answer.
So the charter study, I don't think that they've made a decision yet on what recommendations they are going to make.
I'm aware of that.
Am I speaking?
I don't know. You're also not answering my question.
Okay, you can sit down. Thank you.
I'll sit down when I get an answer, thank you, respectfully.
Your time is up. Thank you.
I don't see a clock.
Wendy, time?
Not up yet, thank you. I still have time, and that would be for my 3 minutes. I believe we're on your
Okay.
time, and I'm just waiting for a proper answer. I'd like to understand why you support the Charter Study Commission, because I feel that it was passed. If I wasn't clear enough, I'll clarify. I feel that the Charter Study Commission was pushed forward without really the proper indication and resident knowledge, okay? I feel like this was something that was created. Thank you.
Thank you. You can sit down.
I will finish very quickly.
No, you're done. You're done. Your time is up. Your time is up. No, I'm not saying you are. Your time is, so we all abide by the same rules.
That's great.
Thank you.
You'll abide by letting me finish.
No, you're done. You're done. Excuse me, officer.
My question is this: what exactly do you support?
You can sit down. You can sit down.
What do you support? I would just like to know what you support. That's all my question is. I will. Thank you. Okay. So that was my question.
Your time is done.
What exactly is it about the charter study that you support?
Your time is up. Yes, sir.
Can we get an answer?
No, it should be
J&L
on. It should be on.
J&L 18 Ladwood Drive. Township Committee and residents, I appreciate the passion of the residents. I appreciate the mention of the grassroots movement on the last Charter Commission Zoom. And the reason I appreciate it is because I've been part of, with some other people in this town, some of the biggest grassroots movements in this town's history because of the problem in governing over the past decade. I used to work in the city. I had no idea who our mayor was at the time when we had some of the biggest problems, and that's how I got involved. So it bothers me, and candidly, respectfully, I feel bad for a lot of these people that are so impassioned and misguided as to the supposed evilness of this Charter Study Commission. We can comment on how it's formed, who may have a conflict or not. I know personally very well many of the people on that Commission, and they're great people. They want nothing but what's good for this town. But for people to get up here and be either in denial or oblivious of the massive problems our government has had in this town and the scandals and lawsuits and multi-million-dollar projects that were tried to be slipped in and everything, it's mind-boggling. So either people are in denial or they're being played by the people that have caused these problems over the past decade. So I appreciate this Study Commission. Thank you for doing it. I have no idea what they're going to come up with, but these are some really good people on there. I've seen them donate. I've seen the compassion to them for all sides of the party. And this theory that they're part of a radical liberal movement that's trying to infiltrate the school board and pass radical liberal agendas on sex ed and everything, people are being played in this town, and I feel bad for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, in the back.
Bill Castning, 4 Takalusa Drive. First, I'd like to continue the topic of the Environmental Commission. We are meeting tomorrow, probably our last Zoom meeting, but we'll decide that tomorrow. But it's an important meeting, not only based upon the things that we normally do, but as we all know, that flooding has been an issue in the town. And the Rutgers study is going to be talked about by the Rutgers scientists. And that's why we're having a Zoom call, because he didn't want to drive down here. But So I challenge you and request that all of you might find it informative and come, certainly the liaison, the newly appointed liaison. And I talked to Ben here, and either Ben or one of his other staff members will be there. And I think it'll be a very informative meeting, so please, all of you are invited to attend by Zoom. And there'll be Q&A. So this is a step in the right direction. We've been waiting for this study for a long time. Okay, this is a preliminary. It's not a written study yet. It will be documented. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, at the last meeting, February 22nd, at the end, at the public comment period, I was challenged by Terrence Wall to deny that I made a statement that said Potter's Farm, the enclave, was a done deal. I'm not going to deny I made that statement to him. That was my opinion. And by the way, I run the Monmouth Conservation Foundation. It's the only land trust in Monmouth County. We do land preservation throughout the county. We've been around for 45 years. I've been running the organization as its executive director for 10 years, later this month. And I've had many conversations over the year with Bill Potter, not his brother, nor the mom, about preserving that farm. And he did not want to preserve it. He wanted fee simple value. He wanted full value, whereas preserving it would only have given him the value of the easement. So I understand that. It was a financial decision. So my comment to Terrence Wall, which was done at a neighbor's house at a party that we both attended, we discussed Potter's Farm, and I said it's a done deal. And why do I feel it's a done deal? My own personal opinion. Whether it's approved or denied at the zoning board, if it's approved, there'll obviously be further litigation and appeal. And if it's denied, there will also be an appeal.
Thank you, Bill.
But this is a inherently beneficial
Thank you.
public use, and I believe the court system would approve it. Thank you.
Barb.
Barbara Singer, 5 Deerfield Road. I have 3 comments, 2 questions. First comment on the Charter Study Commission, kind of reiterating what I said at the last meeting, and after hearing the comments tonight, I wanted to repeat that there are other groups in Homedale who are interested in a different form of government, having nothing to do with Mayor Bontempo. There are people speaking who have not been involved in elections, our county committees, campaigning. If you have been involved in this government week to week, month to month for the last 10 years, you would see where the pitfalls are. So I think some of the people who are against it and saying there's no issues with this government, you need to speak to those who have been involved here for the last 10 years. Those are conversations, you know, that should be had. My next comment is on Laurel Avenue, and I don't know if this should go to the engineer or the township office. I think we learned with the flooding on Palmer what it takes to get the county to do a project. And it's not a matter of we'll get updates from them. Somebody's got to be on them. If you're not like calling and pushing them, it's not going to get done. I looked up about that bridge. This $800,000 grant to study the bridge was given in October of 2020. So it's been a year and a half. We're still waiting for this study. So I don't know how long they generally take to get these things done. If anybody has any idea on that, you know, what the norm is, but I think it's time to start pushing because the trucks just keep hitting it. So. I was reminded when we were talking about the recycling, which is great. I go to the Middletown Recycling Center because we share services with them. I think it all works really well. Before everybody goes and brings their stuff to Large Item Day, the Homedale High School PTSO is again running the Homedale Townwide yard sale at people's homes and at SATS again. So you have 2 options of where you want to sell your stuff. That information will be coming out. It'll be on May 1st. My 2 questions. One, when was our last, I believe it's the ISO report on the fire study for our town? When was that last report done? And if it's been a few years, then my question is, when can we expect the next one? And my last question is to refer back to Jane Zisk when she was speaking. She seems to be between coming here and asking what she can do about it, you know, this conflict of interest that she's seeing, and she gets shut down. And then when she goes, obviously, to the zoning board, where you're saying that she should address it, she's getting shut down there. So I don't know if Mr. Collins, you know, I'm an attorney, but I don't do township law, and you do. Where does she go? What's the procedure? What are, you know, the options for somebody in that situation? Thank you.
Deb, maybe you want to cover the ISO?
Yeah, so the last ISO report, I believe, was in April of 2018. I'm pretty sure, but I'll double check as well. Regarding the ISO, it's important that we prepare ourselves before we call them. Otherwise, we don't want to lose the rating. So there are a couple of more things we need to do in terms of ISO-related coverage, especially the southern end of Homedale, where we're looking for partnering with Lincroft Fire to cover that some areas with Earl Naval Weapons Station. So we're partnering with them to see if they can cover those areas. So we want to get the coverage before we call them in, because there's a one shot and we don't want to lose it. And I'm really keen on it, just so you know.
Council, yes.
And through the mayor on the, again, on the zoning board issue, if there's a conflict allegation over at the zoning board, that's something to be resolved by the zoning board. And ultimately, if it ends up in the courts, by the courts. And with respect to public comment or petition, I would refer you to the zoning board, and you'd have to obviously follow their public comment procedures. And I understand their comment procedures are different because it's a quasi-judicial body, so people are placed under oath, and there's different formalities. But again, the Township Committee does not have a role in adjudicating a conflict of interest allegation.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other public
Mayor,
comment?
I just have one.
Yes.
Noting Barbara's shirt, it's Girl Scout cookie time. Where can people get Girl Scout cookies?
Please don't engage the.
Yeah, just
Thank you.
1,300 cases were delivered to Homedale today, so.
that's what I saw. Yep.
Yeah, when
They're
you
out
see
and about.
the girls are out and about, there will be booths, and all the troops always have extras that they wind up ordering. So if you see girls delivering, just stop them and ask. They're
Thank you.
around. Thank you.
Mike, I'm going to ask a question. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to, so if I'm not, I'm sure you won't answer. Just in relation to this, because for my own clarification, I think for some of the residents, if possible, when you say that the zoning board would have to handle potential accusations of conflict, I guess the procedural question is, what does that mean? How do they handle that? What steps would they take?
To answer your question, Committeeman, speaking generally, when I'm referring folks to the zoning board, I say that in the same context that if there was a matter that any of you to my left on the governing body had a concern about, the conflict issue would be handled here by the Township Committee. It would, you know, my analogy would be it would be inappropriate for anyone to go to the zoning board complaining that one of the committee members has a conflict of interest. And, you know, speaking generally with respect to a conflict of interest, it's usually an individual analysis that's fact sensitive, and it's ultimately up to the individual to make a determination in consultation with counsel about whether a conflict exists and whether to participate in a matter. And if there's anyone disputing that determination, that's ultimately a question for the courts to resolve.
And the zoning board has their own attorney, correct?
Correct. Zoning board has their own counsel, and you know, that's why I'm referring people to the zoning board. It's not to not give an answer, but you know, it's really for their determination, not ours.
Is that it? Is that a commitment? Is that it? Okay. Thank you. It was public. Yes, Miss in the back.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Conchetta Taylor, 6th and A Court. Mr. Mayor, someone had asked you earlier where this charter study committee originated from. To be quite honest, Miss Barbara back there, if she originated her Girl Scout troop, it's something to be proud about, correct? You'd be gladly saying that you originated this group. Why is it so difficult to give the public the answer as to who originated this charter study? Was it you? Was it Mr. Kinji? Who is it? First off, do you have an answer for us?
Keep going.
No, I'm not going to keep going. I could stand here and wait for an answer.
You're up.
No,
Your
my
3 minutes are
time's
up.
not up. I have 3 minutes,
You have 3
correct?
minutes, correct.
Correct. So I'd like, we could pause the timer, and I'll wait because you're allowed to talk all night. You're allowed to sit there and talk for hours upon hours. And when we ask you for a simple question, we get no answer. How is this fair? It's a simple question. Who started the charter study committee? Because to me, it seems that it's everybody on an opposing side. You guys are all affiliated with one another. So where's our answer, Mr. Mayor? Or are you going to sit there quietly, not answering, and being a coward and not standing up? Fine. I'll go on to my next question. Why are all the commissioners on your wonderful charter study committee all somehow connected? Because when you go and you look at all the dots, every single one of those 5 people are all somehow connected to each other. So you are all standing here looking at me, yet I am not getting a single answer from one of you. How is this fair to the township, to the people of Homedale, where you guys are just completely silent and we get no answers? So I'll just stand here. I'll wait for my 3 minutes to be up, Mr. Mayor. Are you really going to sit there and be rude and disrespectful, just like they were rude and disrespectful to me on the Zoom meeting when they tried saying that they were going to, that they muted me, number one, and then they cut me off so I couldn't get back in the Zoom. And then Kin G is seen actually saying that he's going to cut me off. How is that fair for a townsperson? That then I can't listen to what everybody else has to say. You just like doing the stare down, huh? No answers? The stare down's good for you? How about an answer, Mr. Mayor? Can you hear me? I don't know how you sleep at night.
Anybody else from the public? Yes, Miss in the front.
My name is Theano Kolovos.
Just get the mic.
Theano Kolovos. I live at 8 Canyon Woods Court. It's nice to finally see you in person, Ms. Weber. We spoke earlier, a couple months ago, about the school board and the masks. And I shook your hand at Christmas. And I told you both how excited I was to be a Homedale resident and how proud I am to be a Homedale resident. But the last couple months, I've been doing some research, and my heart is pounding out of my chest right now because I think my biggest problem with this charter study is the people who are promoting this really hard seem to be campaign managers. That's a conflict of interest, in my opinion. The people who are trying to change our government happen to be campaign managers. And it breaks my heart because I'm smart enough to know this is not good. That's my first point. And my second point is I've attended all of those charter study committee meetings, and I can tell you, nobody said anything about sex ed. And the biggest issue was the fact that one particular person has their hands, maybe because he's a campaign manager, in every board on this town. That's a conflict of interest. I ask you, please, to do what's right. It's not too late. DJ was nice enough to apologize that he totally missed that. So just do what's right for the people. I don't fall on any side. I'm Canadian. I can't vote. Okay? But I know good people when I see them, And I'm here to fight for a lot of them. So thank you very much. And I'll be seeing you guys soon, I'm sure. Thank you.
Anybody else in the public? Yes.
Ron Emma, 32 Ladwood Drive. The answer to a lot of the questions that are coming up tonight about the Charter Study Commission, it's very simple. This board voted 4-1 to create a commission.
I wasn't here.
You were not here. Committeeman Lucarelli voted for it, 4-1, it passed. Quite frankly, I don't really care. I don't give a damn what Mayor Bontempo wants. The board will make, the Charter Study Commission will make a recommendation, and the voters will vote whatever they please. And for those in the audience that have issues saying that this 5-person commission ran unopposed, there was a 60-day or 90-day window where anyone could have got the signatures. When someone knocked on my door and asked me to sign for it because they were running for the commission, I happily signed because I've been involved. I've been at these meetings for years. So for now to come up here and say you didn't know about it, who appointed them? They went out and got the signatures, got the votes. It was voted on, and they got voted in. If the opposition missed the opportunity, that's on them. Quite frankly, again, I can't stress enough, a recommendation will be made. I am for more choice, not less choice. I don't care what any of you up here want. It should be put to the voters, whatever's decided, whether it's decided keep it the same or change it. Let the voters decide. Lastly, for those who think that the government has been functioning fantastically for 100 years, that's strictly an opinion. It's my opinion that this governing board has not been running perfectly for the past 100 years. Let's look at 2 mayors ago, which was censured by the Township Committee. So there clearly is issues with the governing body. Put it to the public, let's vote on it, and move forward. Quite frankly, I don't really care where Mayor Bontempo stands. Let's get a decision out there, and let's vote on it. Let the people vote. Why is everyone so scared about putting a question out to the voters? I just don't understand the opposition to have more choice versus less choice. Thank you very much.
So I'd like to just comment, Mayor. I wasn't going to say anything tonight, but Mr. Emma, I appreciate it, gave me an opportunity. So I think a couple things just to comment back so I can clarify. Number one, yes, I did vote for that. And if anyone was present or looks back at that meeting, I was very clear. I voted yes for it because I felt like it was the right thing to do for the residents. I felt like the residents of this community deserved the right to make these decisions. So, but personally, I said I'm not voting for it personally, like on my ballot, because I felt like our form of government worked very well, and that I didn't think it needed to be changed. But as a elected official, I felt like I was doing the right thing and what was best for Homedale, and I'll always do that, even if I don't personally agree with it. And I think from what I'm gathering, you made a comment about that people came to your door, asked for your signature. I'm not surprised. But I think from what I'm gathering from the residents is that, and what they're finding out now is that they weren't aware of how to be one of those commissioners. And I think that's where I'm sensing the frustration. And I even experienced that being on this board. I was unaware of how to become a commissioner. So shame on me, because it wasn't a township thing. It ended up being a political thing where you had to become register, gather 100 signatures to be placed on that ballot. I think that there was a lack of transparency by this board. And I'll take blame of that, but it wasn't my initiative, but I will take some responsibility for that there was a lack of transparency on how a resident can get to become a commissioner. So I think that's what I'm sensing from these residents, and I think they have every right to be, to voice that opinion, even if you disagree with it. Thank you.
And just a quick follow-on to that, I think one thing we should all be mindful of, we always appreciate the level of activity and engagement in the community. And for many that have been part of grassroots movements, I think it's also important to remember there's often an inciting incident that gets you to that point, where you've seen something and you're so frustrated by it, you decide to take action and move forward. So whether or not you agree with what's been said in the audience or what's been going on, you know, this was the triggering moment, and I don't think the folks that have come to ask questions about the Charter Committee and seek answers should be diminished for that. They, you know, just because they weren't paying attention over the summer during a pandemic last July doesn't mean they're not engaged citizens. And so I just want to make sure that as we sort of move forward on this discourse, everyone's respected for their opinion on this, whether they are perceived to have come late to the game, as some people have implied, or not. They're interested, they're invested, and they want to understand sort of what's going on here. So I just want to make sure that, you know, we all have that same sort of respect for everybody on that course.
I have a comment and then a question. I believe we first this was an ordinance, it wasn't a resolution, which meant that we have to first introduce the ordinance and then have, at another meeting, have a hearing on this. Is that right, Counselor?
That's correct.
Okay. So that's what happened for this. And at the hearing, I believe a resident came up and asked how to get on the commission.
Correct.
Am I right?
Correct.
I disagree, and I would challenge you to prove that.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
I can prove that because I'll tell you. No, I'll tell you. Hold on, I'm sorry. I'll tell you why I'm saying that, because I remember a resident asking the question and the counselor explaining how to be on the commission. You want to?
Okay, well, just one quick thing. If you think that that is sufficient and transparent from,
We're not.
you know,
we're
no,
not
I'm just, I have to
we're not
comment.
debating. He's
No,
stating
I'm
a
not
fact.
arguing, but
He's
if your argument is that that the transparency came from a resident, that to me is insufficient. Right
No,
there.
I'm saying. All I'm saying is.
Please.
All I'm saying is the question that somebody asked, nobody knew. You mentioned that some people knew how to go get a petition, and I'm saying that because apparently a resident showed up and asked the same question, and the counselor explained how to get a petition, how to be on the commission. That's all I'm answering. I'm answering just that. I'm not debating with you.
That's okay. Counselor, please.
I'll try to clarify to the best I can from my perspective, just outlining the process that was followed. I certainly recognize this is in the political domain. People are free to make their comments. The committee's free to make its comments as well. As was mentioned, in order to approve a ballot question on a charter study commission, it needs to be done by ordinance. If my recollection serves me correctly, at the July meeting last year, there were several ballot proposals that were placed on the agenda for introduction. 3 of the 4 passed. 1 of them was actually pulled. And then those were advertised in accordance with law, and they were up for public hearing at the August meeting, and they were adopted in the vote that was referenced earlier. To the deputy mayor's point, I do recall that there was a public inquiry about running, and I explained that there would be an election that would be alongside the referendum. I would also note that Section 2 of the ordinance itself specifically provides that a charter study commission would be elected at the same time, written in the same exact way that other ordinances of that type had been written. And then finally, in terms of the process, the analogy I made at a past township committee meeting is that the election was, similar in nature to the annual election for members of the township committee. There's no annual notice that gets issued by the township requesting for candidates to file, and yet there always seems to be an election in this town, for at least my memory. So the ordinance was adopted in accordance with law. I want to make it clear that all the proper legal steps were followed in order to form the Charter Study Commission and to create the opportunity for candidates to file. If people want to have a political debate about the politics of that. I recognize that, but I just want to clarify for the record that, to my recollection, is the factual background of the matter.
Thank you, Counselor. Anybody else from the public?
Yeah, who originated it? We're still waiting on that.
Yes. Please don't speak from the audience.
Well, I'm just saying, you still have.
Please. 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 Please, in the audience, please.
Tom Critelli, 7 Hayward Hills Drive. And for the public's benefit, I served on this town committee for 9 years. I served a year with DJ, 2 years with Kathy and Prakash, and 9 years with Mayor Bontempo. And I was the one person in 2021, I guess, that voted against the charter study. So I'll just leave it at that. And I understand, DJ, why you voted for it, and you were 100% honest tonight that you thought it was the right thing to do at the time. My problem tonight is transparency. Kathy, you ran on and you preached to me for 2 years that you were transparent on all issues. You're an open book. And you know what? You're right. I learned that about you very quickly, particularly in executive session. But tonight, what I'm witnessing, this committee is not being very transparent with the public. And Mayor, we know each other a long time, nearly 10 years, probably 10 years since I ran in 2012. It's a bad look when you just stare residents down. You don't have to agree with everybody, but when I was mayor in 2018, and Mike Collins, you will remember this, I may not have agreed with some of the folks that are to my right here, but I respected them. And there really needs to be a dialogue between the committee and the residents, because the charter study is a politically motivated group. We all know that. You can't hide behind that. But let's just try to bring all the facts forward that you can, not executive session conversations, but things like the Potter's Farm pilot. Prakash and I, you know, we were 180 degrees away from each other on that. And I'm glad I torpedoed that. But I really believe you folks need to get together, put the chaos of the last 3 years behind us, and go back to the days when you remember who elected you, the people of this town. Thank you very much.
Anybody else from the public? Seeing none, I'll close public portion. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good night, everybody. Thank you for coming out.